Well, a very good afternoon to you. Thanks for clicking on to today's edition of Vogan's Views on the USA. Plenty of weather once again to talk about. Severe weather threat once again, and it's shifted slightly further east than it was yesterday and last night. The primary areas last night were across parts of Oklahoma, up through Nebraska, Kansas, Nebraska, and eastwards towards Iowa. But the problem is we've got of course the cold front. We've got the perfect environment here with cooler air to the west, a deep trough, and of course you've got that jet stream that's rip-roaring across in between that thermal boundary, that thermal contrast zone, and as well as that you've got plenty of warm weather to the east of the cold front. So the environment is very conducive. Cape values are very high, and of course when you've got that warmth and moisture down at the surface, colder in the mid to upper levels of the atmosphere, you've got a very large lapse rate, so that the potential, the upward motion is increased, and therefore the environment is very conducive for showers and thunderstorms. But just before I go on to the severe weather aspect, take a look at the East Coast. We've got plenty of warmth now. 71 up in Burlington, 73 in Boston, and mid to upper 70s through the tri-state in towards Philadelphia and DC as well. Those temperatures are going to be warmer even tomorrow, and I wouldn't be surprised. I continue to believe that 90s will show up to at least New York City, if not Boston as well, as that cold front starts to push towards the Appalachians by tomorrow afternoon. You've got a stronger southwesterly flow, plenty of sunshine, and of course the dry soils up and down the eastern seaboard is going to play a role in enhancing the warmth over the region. Would not be surprised if we see temperatures towards 94, perhaps even 95 degrees, believe it or not, in DC tomorrow. I believe 92, 93 is possible in Philadelphia, 90, 91 degrees in New York City, and perhaps even an outside chance of a 90 up in Boston as well. That's tomorrow, but we've got plenty of weather to talk about during the course of today, and I'm going to continue to keep you posted on that, folks, on Facebook over the course of tonight. I start my work at 12 p.m. here in the UK, but certainly that will be, of course, the time difference will be early evening across the central part of the nation. So I'm going to try and keep you up to date as much as possible via Facebook and Twitter. So if you're interested in that, like the page, and of course I'll keep you up to date as much as I can. Let's have a quick look at the setup overall here. We've got a storm system here to the northeast of Nebraska, southeast North Dakota, and northwest Iowa. Basically, your primary region is right here for where the boundary is, the warm front, and all the way extends all the way down through eastern and south central Texas. And you can even see that here, that the storms are starting to fire just along that boundary, that cold front. Of course, you've got cool, dry air to the backside of the cold front, and you've got very warm, moist flow coming up from the Gulf of Mexico ahead of the cold front. So the problem is, of course, you've got a very high lapse rate. That is, of course, going to enhance those thunderstorms developing today. But as well as that, you've got a very strong upper-level jet stream. You've got a strong southerly low-level jet. So, of course, you've got a confliction of wind there already, because you've got a southwest wind, you've got a southerly wind, and as well as that, you've even got an easterly flow associated with this area of high pressure off the east coast. And of course, as that high pushes offshore, that of course allows that southwesterly wind to start blowing up the east coast, and of course allowing the 90s to push into the mid-Atlantic and northeast. But it's this region here, folks, that I'm very concerned about once again later today and in through the overnight hours for showers and thunderstorms, and those thunderstorms becoming tornadic. Why does that take place then? Because we've got those confliction of winds with height. So as you go up through the atmosphere, those winds are changing direction. So you've got the lapse rate, the high lapse rate, and of course the thermal contrast between the backside of the cold front, the cool, drier, and you've also got warm, moisture ahead of it. That environment forms those thunderstorms, but it is the change of wind. It's called directional shear in meteorological terms. That is what produces the supercell thunderstorms, that rotation in the atmosphere, and the rotation of those thunderstorms is what spins up these tornadoes. If you live in the region anywhere from east, south Texas, up through northwest and western parts of Louisiana. You've got Arkansas, Missouri, Iowa, more or less all of Illinois, into parts of, or the majority of Wisconsin, eastern parts of Minnesota as well, and even towards Michigan as well. This region here, folks, is what you need to pay attention to the weather this afternoon, because you've got areas of thunderstorms forming. They're going to form very quickly, especially in the latter part of the afternoon and into the evening. But as they form, they're going to start to ride northeastwards. So if you are sitting and located northeast of a thunderstorm this afternoon in this region that I've outlined, you must pay attention to them, because they could turn severe and they could turn tornadic. Expect with these severe thunderstorms damaging wind, large hail, torrential flood and rainfall, and of course there's always the risk of a tornado as well. But you're certainly paying attention to these, because you've got the environment here to form these thunderstorms. You've also got the environment here to help them transition into a supercell. But certainly, like I say, if you're living northeast of any thunderstorms this afternoon, please monitor the situation very carefully. I suggest, like yesterday, you have your NOAA radio on at all times, and even overnight. The danger aspect increases vastly. I think you've got a 2.5 times greater chance of death during an overnight tornado as opposed to the daytime, because you simply can't see a tornado coming. So pay attention. It's very, very dangerous to just go to bed oblivious to the weather happening outside. And of course, if you live in this region, please pay attention to that. But certainly that the danger aspect is still certainly ripe this afternoon across this region, and we're going to be seeing more tornadoes unfortunately form. Like I said to you, keep checking back to my Facebook and Twitter feed, and I'll keep you up to date as much as possible during the overnight hours. Hope you have a great day, folks. Bye-bye.